November 22nd, 1963. A day that started like any other in Dallas, Texas, became one of the darkest moments in American history. President John F. Kennedy, a symbol of hope and change, was gunned down in broad daylight in front of hundreds of witnesses. But here's the question that's haunted us for over 6 decades. Who really pulled the trigger? Was it Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone gunman with a rifle? Or was it something bigger, a conspiracy woven by powerful forces hiding in the shadows? Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of the JFK assassination, the evidence, the theories, and the questions that refuse to die. Are you ready to uncover the truth? Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. And if you have a theory about who killed JFK, drop it in the comments below. We want to hear what you think. Let's get started. To understand the JFK assassination, we need to step back to the early 1960s, a time of tension, fear, and transformation. John F. Kennedy, or JFK, was the 35th President of the United States, sworn in on January 20th, 1961. At just 43 years old, he was young, charismatic, and a political rock star. His vision of a new frontier promised progress in civil rights, space exploration, and global diplomacy. His famous inaugural address, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," inspired a generation. But inspiration came with a cost. JFK's bold policies made him enemies, both at home and abroad. The 1960s were the height of the Cold War, a period when the United States and the Soviet Union stood on the brink of nuclear annihilation. The Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962 was the closest the world ever came to all-out nuclear war. Soviet missiles, stationed in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, threatened American cities. JFK's decision to impose a naval blockade and negotiate with Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev diffused the crisis, but it left scars. Some in the U.S. military and intelligence community thought JFK was too soft on communism. Others in Cuba and the Soviet Union saw him as a dangerous adversary. At home, JFK and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, launched a relentless campaign against organized crime. The Mafia, which had flourished in the 1950s through illegal gambling, drug trafficking, and labor racketeering, faced unprecedented pressure. The Kennedys targeted mob bosses like Sam Giancana in Chicago and Carlos Marcello in New Orleans. This crusade didn't just disrupt criminal empires, it made the Kennedys personal enemies of some of the most ruthless men in America. Then there was the CIA. JFK's relationship with the agency was fraught, to say the least. The Bay of Pigs invasion in April 1961, a failed CIA-backed attempt to overthrow Cuban leader Fidel Castro, was a humiliating disaster. JFK took responsibility, but privately blamed the CIA for poor planning and misleading intelligence. He reportedly told aides he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. That kind of rhetoric doesn't go unnoticed in the shadowy world of espionage. Fast forward to November 22nd, 1963. JFK was in Dallas, Texas, on a political trip to shore up support for his 1964 re-election campaign. Dallas was a conservative stronghold, a city where anti-Kennedy sentiment ran high. Some residents even distributed flyers accusing JFK of treason. Despite the tension, the President and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy rode through Dealey Plaza in an open-top limousine, waving to cheering crowds. At 12:30 p.m., as the motorcade turned onto Elm Street, shots rang out. The president slumped forward, struck by bullets. Jacqueline Kennedy, in her iconic pink suit, climbed onto the back of the car in a desperate attempt to help. The limousine sped to Parkland Memorial Hospital, but it was too late. At 1 p.m., John F. Kennedy was pronounced dead. The nation was plunged into grief, and the world watched in shock. Within hours, police arrested Lee Harvey Oswald, a 24-year-old former Marine with a troubled past. Oswald had defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, only to return to the US in 1962. He was a self-proclaimed Marxist, a loner with a history of erratic behavior. Police found a Mannlicher Carcano rifle on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, overlooking Dealey Plaza, with Oswald's fingerprints on it. 2 days later, as Oswald was being transferred from jail, nightclub owner Jack Ruby shot him dead on live television. The sudden death of the alleged assassin only deepened the mystery. Was Oswald the killer, or was he silenced to protect a larger conspiracy? In response to the chaos, President Lyndon B. Johnson established the Warren Commission, a panel of high-profile officials led by Chief Justice Earl Warren. Their task: investigate the assassination and deliver answers to a grieving nation. In September 1964, after 10 months of work, the commission released its report. The conclusion was stark. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. He fired 3 shots from the 6th floor of the depository. 1 bullet missed, 1 hit JFK in the back, and exited through his throat, also wounding Texas Governor John Connally, and the 3rd struck JFK in the head, killing him instantly. The Warren Report's single bullet theory, often called the magic bullet, became a lightning rod for controversy. It claimed 1 bullet caused multiple wounds to JFK and Connally, passing through the president's neck, Connally's chest, wrist, and thigh, before being found nearly pristine on a hospital stretcher. Critics scoffed at the idea. How could a single bullet zigzag through 2 men, hitting bone and tissue, and remain almost intact? The physics seemed improbable, if not impossible. Then there was the timing. Oswald had to fire 3 shots in under 6 seconds using a bolt-action rifle, a feat experts say was possible, but extremely difficult for an average marksman. But the biggest problem was the witnesses. Dozens of people in Dealey Plaza, over 40 by some estimates, reported hearing shots or seeing activity from the Grassy Knoll, a small hill to the right of the motorcade. Some saw smoke, others claimed to see a man with a rifle. The Warren Commission dismissed these accounts, citing a lack of physical evidence, but the public wasn't convinced. Polls from the 1960s onward showed that most Americans believed the assassination was the result of a conspiracy. The Warren Report, meant to close the case, only fueled suspicion. Let's explore the first major conspiracy theory, the Grassy Knoll. Dealey Plaza is a compact area, surrounded by the Texas School Book Depository, a freeway overpass, and the Grassy Knoll, a small, tree-lined hill. Witnesses like Jean Hill, who stood close to the motorcade, claimed they saw a man with a rifle on the knoll. Hill even said she saw someone running away moments after the shots. Others reported a puff of smoke rising from the trees, consistent with a gunshot from a non-smokeless powder weapon. The most compelling piece of evidence is the Zapruder film, a 26-second, 8mm home movie shot by Abraham Zapruder, a Dallas businessman. The film captures the assassination in chilling detail. In frame 313, JFK's head is struck and his body jerks backward, a motion many interpret as evidence of a shot from the front, possibly the grassy knoll, rather than from behind, where Oswald was positioned. Acoustic evidence, analyzed in the 1970s by the House Select Committee on Assassinations, suggested a 95% probability of a fourth shot from the knoll. However, later studies disputed this, citing flawed methodology. The Warren Commission found no evidence of a second shooter, no rifle, no shell casings, no confirmed suspect. Yet the grassy knoll theory persists, driven by witness testimonies and the haunting images of the Zapruder film. Next, let's consider the CIA. JFK's distrust of the agency was well documented. The Bay of Pigs disaster left him furious, and he fired CIA Director Allen Dulles shortly after. Declassified documents, released between 2017 and 2023, show the CIA was monitoring Oswald in the months before the assassination. He had visited the Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City, raising red flags. Why didn't the CIA act on this? Some theorists argue Oswald was a CIA asset, or at least a patsy, set up to take the fall for a larger plot. The agency's secrecy and history of covert operations, like MKUltra and plots to assassinate Castro, lend credence to these suspicions. Could rogue elements within the CIA, fearing JFK's plans to curb their power, have orchestrated his death? Then there's the Mafia. The Kennedys' war on organized crime hit the mob hard. Robert Kennedy, as Attorney General, pursued mob bosses like Sam Giancana, Carlos Marcello, and Santo Trafficante with unprecedented zeal. These men had motive, means, and opportunity. The Mafia had a network of hitmen, informants, and corrupt officials. Some theories suggest they collaborated with rogue CIA agents, blending their mutual hatred of JFK. Intriguing connections exist. Oswald's uncle, Charles Murrett, had ties to Marcello's New Orleans mob. Jack Ruby, who killed Oswald, was linked to Giancana's Chicago outfit. Ruby's murder of Oswald, just 2 days after the assassination, raises questions. Was he silencing a loose end? Another theory points to foreign involvement, specifically the Soviet Union or Cuba. During the Cold War, JFK was a staunch anti-communist. His handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis humiliated Khrushchev, and his embargo on Cuba infuriated Castro. Oswald's defection to the Soviet Union and his pro-Castro activities in New Orleans fueled speculation. Could he have been a Soviet or Cuban agent? Declassified files show Oswald met with a KGB officer in Mexico City, but there's no concrete evidence of foreign orchestration. The House Select Committee in 1979 found no link to Moscow or Havana. But the theory persists in the public imagination. What about the evidence itself? The Zapruder film is the most analyzed piece of footage in history. Frame 313 shows JFK's head snapping backward, suggesting a frontal shot. But ballistics experts argue this could result from a rear shot due to the physics of the head wound. The magic bullet, officially CE 399, remains a point of contention. Forensic tests confirm a Mannlicher Carcano bullet could survive such a trajectory, but its pristine condition raises eyebrows. Acoustic evidence from a police radio recording suggested a grassy knoll shot, but later analyses debunked this, citing background noise. Oswald's rifle, found in the depository, matched the bullets recovered, and his fingerprints were on the weapon. Yet gaps remain. missing autopsy photos, incomplete CIA files, and redacted documents. The cultural impact of the assassination is undeniable. JFK's death marked a turning point in American history, shattering public trust in institutions. The Warren Report, meant to provide closure, became a symbol of government opacity. Books, films, and documentaries, from Oliver Stone's JFK to countless true crime specials, have kept the mystery alive. Polls show over 60% of Americans believe in a conspiracy, a testament to the case's enduring grip on the national psyche. The assassination also sparked reforms, like stronger Secret Service protocols and limits on CIA domestic operations. So, what's the truth? Was Lee Harvey Oswald a lone nut, as the Warren Report claims? Or was he a pawn in a larger conspiracy involving the CIA, Mafia, or even elements within the US government? The evidence is contradictory, the witnesses unreliable, and the documents incomplete. Over 2 million pages of files have been released since 1992, yet thousands remain classified. The backward motion in the Zapruder film, the Grassy Knoll witnesses, and Oswald's murky connections keep the questions alive. Perhaps the truth lies in a combination of theories: a rogue CIA faction working with mob hitmen, using Oswald as a fall guy. Or maybe the simplest explanation is the correct one: a troubled loner with a rifle and a grudge. After 6 decades, the JFK assassination remains an open wound. It's a puzzle with missing pieces, a story with no clear ending. What do you believe? Was it Oswald alone, or a deeper plot? Drop your theory in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Hit subscribe for more mysteries, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into history's unanswered questions. Thanks for watching, and let's keep searching for the truth.